Today we are going to study about the topic plant tissues. We have studied the chapter tissues. What are tissues? Tissues are a group of cells which perform specific functions. So we are going to study today about plant tissue. Now under plant tissue, first let us study what are the different types of plant tissues. Under plant tissues we have two types. One is meristematic tissue, and second one is permanent tissue. Let us study about meristematic tissue first. Now meristematic tissue is of three types, three locations. So three types of meristematic tissues are, first is apical meristem. First one, this is apical meristem. Now apical meristem is the first one. First is apical meristem, second is intercalary meristem, and third is lateral meristem. So this apical meristem is present at the apex of the shoot and apex of the root. So the apical meristem present at the growing tips of stem and root. It helps in increasing the length of the stem as well as the length of the root. This intercalary meristem, it is present in between the nodes, okay, and it helps in branching. The next is lateral meristem. Lateral meristem, it helps in increasing the girth of the root, girth of the stem. Okay, this is about meristematic tissues. Next type of tissue or next type of plant tissue is permanent tissue. Permanent tissue. How are the permanent tissues formed? Permanent tissues are formed when these meristematic tissues after maturity, means when meristematic tissues actually are dividing cells. These meristematic tissues are dividing cells. When these meristematic tissues, these are dividing cells. When these meristematic tissues lose the, or you can say they reach maturity, or they lose the tendency to divide, then they become permanent tissues. So permanent tissues are derived from meristematic tissues. And we have again under meristematic tissues, we have means meristematic tissues give rise to permanent tissues, and these permanent tissues are of, you can say here, permanent tissues. Now permanent tissues are of two types. One is complex permanent tissue and another one is, this is simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. So permanent tissues are of two types, simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Again, simple permanent tissues are classified as Parenchyma tissue, Collenchyma tissue and Sclerenchyma tissue. And complex tissues are classified into Xylem and Phloem. Let us study about this in detail. Now let us first study about simple tissue types. You will see that this is Parenchyma tissue. Parenchyma tissue, you can see here, these tissues have, you can see here, it has cell wall, nucleus, cytoplasm, and in between the cells you can see intercellular space. Okay, in between the tissues you can see intercellular space. Next, after Parenchyma tissue, then you can see Collenchyma tissue. Collenchyma tissue, here the tissues consist of little intercellular space and again nucleus, cytoplasm and cell wall. Then next type of simple tissue is Sclerenchyma tissue. Sclerenchyma tissue has a rigid cell wall and lots of lumen space is there in between the cell. This was about simple. Next, let us study about this Parenchyma tissue in detail. You can see this tissue has, you can see here in the screen, the cells of Parenchyma are involved, right? And they are living cells, okay, and they are loosely packed. Okay? The cell wall is very thin. Cell wall is thin and they are living, loosely packed, and there is more intercellular space in between them. These are the characteristics of Parenchyma cells. Now let us study about the characteristics of Collenchyma. Parenchyma cells are present in the fruits. Okay, they are present. If suppose Parenchyma cells are present in the you can say the soft tissue of the fruits. In aquatic plants, if Parenchyma cells are present, you all know that aquatic plants mostly float on the water. So Parenchyma cells which are present in aquatic plants are called as Parenchyma cells. You can see here it's labeled as Parenchyma. Parenchyma, when it is present in aquatic plants, it stores air in its form of air pockets. It's called as Parenchyma. And if suppose Parenchyma cells are present in leaves. Parenchyma cell is present in the leaves. Then Parenchyma is called as, now you all know that leaves store, you can say synthesize. Leaves synthesize the fruits, means here the Parenchyma is called as Parenchyma. Next, let us study about Collenchyma cells. Collenchyma cells, you can see children, the Collenchyma cells have regular thickenings at the corner. There is no intercellular spaces between the cells. In Parenchyma, we saw the walls are walls are thin. There are irregular thickenings at the walls, that is cell walls, and there is no intercellular space in Collenchyma. And what is the function of Collenchyma? It gives flexibility to the plant, and tissue of living cells, they are long, irregularly thickened at the corners. So let us study about the next cell is Sclerenchyma. Cells actually they are called as cells. Also long. Sclerenchyma cells here are long. They are narrow. Mostly they are dead cells. This is the characteristics of Sclerenchyma cells. The walls of the Sclerenchyma cells are thickened. Walls of the Sclerenchyma cells are thickened. You can see the walls of the Sclerenchyma cells. Walls are thickened. You can see the walls here. Show you this walls are thick. The walls are thick. There is very less space inside the next. So after Sclerenchyma, we are going to study about next type of tissue, that is complex tissue. Complex tissue,
Plants
I
use
said you
vascular tissues.
complex tissue consists of xylem and phloem. Vascular tissue, or you can say complex tissue, consists of xylem and phloem. You can see in the picture, children, this is xylem. This is xylem. You can see the picture here. These are the xylem. Walls have deposition of lignin. Phloem, the phloem tissue. What does xylem and phloem does? Xylem cells helps in conduction of water. Again in xylem, it consists of different types of cells called as tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers, xylem vessels. What are the walls of xylem? They are thick. These cells are dead cells. The phloem is again made up of 5 types of cells called as sieve cells, tubes, anion cells, fiber, and phloem parenchyma. And the function of phloem is to transport the food from leaves to other parts of the plant. So phloem helps in translocation. You can say from translocation is nothing but for a food from different parts of the plant, whereas xylem helps in aspiration, that is pull, which is might be seeing plants here. I can say you the here in this picture you can see in this plant the movement of water molecule. You can see the water is moving. Show you with the mark. Picture you can see dots. Water molecules are moving up from the roots. This is through a pull. This is called as transpiration push, which is water rise from the roots. The water rises and goes to the leaves. This transport of water is done through this is called as transpiration. Transpiration is for helpful, or you can say is possible through tissue. You understand, children? Let us have a look at the summary which we have studied. Show you here in the summary of the chapter which topic which I have said here. Glance, if we study whatever study, let us have a glance over it. The plant tissues we studied, children. Meristematic tissue. Read about meristematic tissue. You can see it first about meristematic tissue. Studied types of meristematic tissue. Under meristematic tissue, I said you that meristematic tissue, once it reaches the maturity, becomes permanent tissue. The permanent tissue is classified into simple permanent, complex permanent. Simple permanent are parenchyma cells, chyma cells, chyma cells. What did we study? Sclerenchyma cells. This is complex tissue. Now let us study about characteristics of meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue is located at specific regions in the plant. Meristematic tissue is located at regions of the plant, and they are very active. Dense cytoplasm, thin cellulose wall, and they have prominent nuclei, and they lack vacuoles. We studied about type of meristematic tissue, apical meristems, and as I said, they are found at the tips of stem and root, responsible for increasing the length of stem and root. Lateral meristem, it is found in cambium, and it is responsible for increasing the girth of stem and root. The intercalary meristems, it is located at nodes, and it helps in the growth of leaves and internodes. Type of tissue which we studied is permanent tissue. Permanent tissue, a tissue which is formed from meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue, when it is it becomes permanent tissue. Now cells become permanent. These cells take up a permanent shape, size, and function. Two types of permanent tissue: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Permanent tissue again classified into parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Now chyma cells which are unspecialized, means they have very thin wall. You can see in the picture also here, children. In the picture you can see thin walled, easily arranged, which of intercellular spaces. Function of parenchyma cells is to food. Parenchyma cells, if suppose didn't in the leaf and perform the process of photosynthesis, you call them as Sclerenchyma. Parenchyma cells are present in aquatic plants with air cavities. They are termed as air. Studied about Collenchyma. Collenchyma provide flexibility and mechanical support. You can see the picture here, children. Collenchyma cells. Okay, how is the cell wall and nucleus? And they are found in the leaf stalks below the epidermis, and cells are living, elongated and have irregular thickened corners. Little intercellular space is present. Sclerenchyma cells, what is the purpose of sclerenchyma cells? Actually, sclerenchyma cells are dead cells. So they provide strength and hardness. They're long, narrow with thick lignified walls. Where are they found? They are found in stems, vascular bundles, in the veins of the leaves, and hard coverings of seeds and nuts. There is no intercellular space between the cells. It is complex permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissue, as I said, xylem and phloem. Now let us see xylem. The components of xylems are, I said you, tracheids, this xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. You can see in the picture here, children. Parenchyma, vessels, tracheids and xylem fiber. Now what is the function of xylem? It transports waters and minerals from roots to other parts of the plant. Tracheids and vessels are tubular structures. They are allowing vertical. Fibers provide support. Xylem parenchyma store food. Complex tissue is phloem. The components you can see, children, in the diagram also. Sieve cells, okay, sieve cells, then sieve tubes, companion cells, and phloem fibers and phloem parenchyma. Now what is the function of phloem? It transports food from leaves to other parts of the plant. Sieve tubes are tubular cells which are perforated. Perforated means having holes, and except phloem fiber, phloem cells are living cells. I think you followed the chapter. Now let us have some evaluation. Now can you see the questions on the screen? So what is the primary function of meristematic tissue in plants? Functions are to store food, to provide structural support, to produce new cells for growth, to conduct water and nutrients. Answer is to produce new cells. So meristematic cells are dividing cells. I think I said you when I was teaching. So they are dividing cells, means they produce new cells which helps in growth. Let us see next question. Which of the following is not a type of meristematic tissues based on its location? So we studied, children, apical meristem, lateral meristem, intercalary meristem. These are all meristematic tissues only. So what is our answer? Good. Vascular meristem. Next. What process leads to the development of various types of meristems? Synthesis, differentiation, transpiration, osmosis. Yes, you are right. It is differentiation. Next question. Which of the following characteristics is typical of cells in meristematic tissues? Large vacuoles, thin cellulose valve, lack of nuclei, specialized function. Thin cellulose wall. To next question. Primary function of parenchyma tissue in plants. Photosynthesis, food storage, water conduction, mechanical support. Is food storage. So there are some more questions, children, which I will be sending you through homework. Till then, bye. Take care.